What's up, guys? Duane Richins live here with Kurt. Kurt is one of our coaching guys and on our team and one of our leaders. He's doing some fabulous things in our organization. Excited to have him on here with us today. And so the purpose of having Kurt here, he's got a closing, so he's going to have to bail out early on us, but is we want to dive into some of the stuff he's been struggling with lately. And one of the cool things about Kurt is he will dive in and show us where he's struggling so we can help him. So we're really excited to have you on, Kurt. You've been in our program for what, a year now, year and a half?
It's coming up on 2 here in a few months.
That is great. That is great. So he sent us some recordings that we're going to just immediately dive into and dissect. And the first one we're going to go into, Kurt, is this one that talks about you've got a client that's on the door. They're doing well going through the motions with you. So you feel like, hey, this is a good client, but yet you're not getting them closed. So we went through this a little bit this morning. I want to go a little bit deeper with this one. Kurt, if you have others, send them over because we'll probably stop about the same place we stopped last time. But here we go.
Not really. Okay, so 1 to 2 years. 1 to 2 years. Goodbye. Gotcha. Well, is there something that you're waiting for before you do something like that?
Not really. There's just so many moving pieces right now. I think it'd be best for everybody just to have a little one moving and walking and squawking before we make another change.
Gotcha. What's the little one do?
June.
Okay.
So Kurt, you can see we're starting just to build that relationship. And I didn't talk to you about this earlier. As they're starting to talk about all the moving pieces, what are they? And are they big enough moving pieces that would keep him from transacting today? We didn't find that out. Okay. And also, are there going to be moving pieces after the baby comes? Dissect that. Help them understand that it doesn't matter right now. There's moving pieces. Of course there are. There's always moving pieces in life. Do you think bringing another baby into the world is going to make you less chaotic? And you know what they're going to say? No, it's really not. Okay. But you're connecting. So you're building a little bit of a personal relationship with them, which is fine, But the minute you get into friend zone, it's a lot harder to then just be professional real estate. Let's go. Let's build this. Let's keep going.
Hey, that'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, that's the truth. We're already halfway there. It's ridiculously fast.
And then you'll never sleep again.
Yeah,
Your first is something like sweet. Congrats.
luckily, we both grew up with lots of siblings.
Yeah. There you go.
40 seconds in. Are we where we should be?
No, we got too much fluff.
There's a lot of fluff there. And it's okay to have some fluff because you want to build that relationship. But you have to remember, if you don't capture their interest really, really quick, you're already setting the tone for how the rest of the conversation is going to go.
That's helpful. Cool. Well, hey, would you guys consider moving that timeline up if we could help save you an extra $40,000 or $50,000?
Potentially, I'd be happy to chat about it.
Yeah. The reason I ask is right now a lot of homes are sitting on the market. What do you think that does?
So right there, we could have asked, what would $50,000 do to help you in the process of this new house? What would it mean to you if you could save that much money? Because right now you're talking, Kurt, pretty generic.
Yeah.
Hey, if we could save you $40,000 to $50,000, this would be great. And I know a little bit more about this background where this guy's just going to kind of float through, but that's another question you could ask. And if you see them starting to float through, bring that up because you got to connect with them. You've got to help them feel that they need you and they need this to dive in right now because this is going to make an impact on them. So help them understand that.
Personalize it a little better.
Imagine lets them down a little bit.
Yeah, for sure, right? Let's say, for example, like I have a house to sell and it checks all your boxes and it's been sitting for 3, 4, maybe 5 months.
Yeah.
How much do you think you could negotiate off the price of that home?
It's a good question. I feel like you might be able to give me an answer.
Well, it's going to depend on a few different things, but like, let's say 10,000 just to keep them that simple.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think you could get me to pay your closing costs if you're the only one interested in my house?
Potentially, yeah.
We're seeing that in almost every transaction has its own paying for the buyers for their closing costs, which is pretty neat. Now, let's say we wait a little bit. How many other people do you feel like are in the same boat or just kind of waiting for something to change before they jump in and buy a home?
I would say, like, no. If they're in the market already, probably decent chunk maybe.
Yeah, I mean, last year, for example, we sold the
Okay, Kurt, let's pause. How much talking is your client doing to sell you that they need to move right now?
Not enough. I think one thing that was happening is I was kind of jumping ahead too quick because I didn't like you're saying, he wasn't digesting it. And so like, okay, well now what do I say? And then I would just like jump too far down the line, and I just went like 2 or 3 times quicker than I should have because he wasn't answering.
Okay. Well, and that's a good takeaway because so many people are doing that. So many people are doing exactly what you're doing, where they're not getting the client to fully engage. And if they don't get the client to fully engage, they don't sell. They're not going to do this. They're not going to move forward. They're not going to buy. They're not going to sell because they're not sold on the idea. You've got to bring that to them. Remember, you are driving the conversation through your questions. So if you don't ask them how to convince you, they're not going to convince you through their words. Remember, this question-based selling approach works so well when you guide them. So think about that as these next questions as you ask them.
dearest home since 1963. Really? Over 60 years ago. Yeah, crazy. That's crazy. Why do you think so many people have just been kind of putting it off for so long?
I bet it might have something to do with a little bit of the politics moving around these past few years, dealing with bringing new people in and getting old people out.
Yeah.
I'm not too very.
No, I think you're spot on. A lot of people have been waiting for the election, administration, whatnot. Interest rates have played a big role there as well. Now that we're into the new administration, how many people do you think are like, all right, we can't wait anymore. Now we gotta jump in and start making a move at that
I
point?
would say probably at least half of that original half chunk,
It's a lot of people, right? It's a lot of people. Yep.
Okay, Kurt, once again, as we're plowing through this, how are we doing? Who's doing the convincing?
Well, he's not giving me the answers that I want. And so
Okay.
instead of like going back to drill back to get those answers, I just kind of move on to the next thing and hope that
Yes.
one will catch it, that one will resonate more. But it doesn't. And so then that's why I feel like I'm going too quick. It's like, well, this didn't work, so let's just keep moving down the pipeline. And then, yeah.
I love it. So what questions could you change right there as you start noticing that, you're struggling with this? How do you go back and then start to build the value where they can teach you?
That's a good question. I don't know. That's why I'm here. Cause I listen to the conversations I have, and I think always in my head, like I need them to sell me, but I struggle getting them to do that. Like sell me on why you should stay here. But yeah, that is certainly the missing piece, I think.
So right now you're talking about, the economy, right? You're talking about the elections. You're talking about different things. How do you now take it to where they start convincing you? What are some good questions? We talked about this earlier today.
Okay.
You've got to come back to now, if half of those people jump in, because he said half of those people that were waiting, if half jumped in now, so go hyperfocal there. What does that mean if half of those people jump back in? We had the lowest number of home sales since 1963. We're supposed to jump up over 1.5 million buyers this year. What does that do to our market? Okay, and if they're not giving you the answer still, take it now hyperfocal, like we talked about. How about here in our town, which you live in St. George, Utah? What's happening right now in St. George, Utah? What growth are you seeing? Do you think the market's going to go up or down? Why? See how I'm making him tell me about the market? I'm going to make him go through. Did you hear what they were talking about on the news the other day about the airport, about the growth? Did you hear about the new PGA golf course? What do you think that's doing for our community? How much did we go up in value last year with an 8% interest rate? Why do you think that is? Notice how I'm forcing you, and you don't even have to respond. I'm forcing you to give me answers.
Yeah.
And every one of those answers you're going to give me is going to cause you to convince yourself because I'm making you talk about it. That's exactly what you've got to do, is you've got to make them convince you in a way that's going to prove to them in their mind that they've got to transact sooner. So if we're upping the number of flights coming in and out of our airport, if we hit record numbers of passengers coming in and out because of all the attraction coming in, we're seeing a whole bunch more homes being built. What does that do to home prices? How much do you think they're going to go up? What have you seen over the last year? Did home prices decrease? And if that's the case, now how much is it going to cost you if you wait?
Yeah. Those are all great questions that I should have used.
Yep. That's what's going to engage them. So that's the big difference, Kurt, between you having the problem of they're giving me all the correct answers, which he was giving you all of the correct answers. And he was essentially a pushover, right? The difference why you didn't close him is just because he wasn't convinced. He was like, no, yeah, I'm going to agree with you all the way through, Kurt. I'm going to agree all the way through with you. The problem we run into is we got down to the end and you're like, crap, I don't know where to go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what questions to ask. Got Red Suit on here. Red Suit saying question-based selling is fun. And it's so true. If you can literally question-based sell your clients to the point where they are convincing you that they need to move, that's when you get someone to buy and sell. It should never be Kurt on the other end convincing his client that they need to move through, questions. The true purpose of question-based selling is 100% to get them to sell you on the idea of why they need to move today. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Jeremy, welcome, brother. It's good to have you.
What's up, guys? I didn't want to interrupt.
No, you're good. I'm glad you're here. Why don't you tell everybody what events we have next as I pull up this next recording? And Kurt's got to bounce off here. Kurt, what time's your closing? Noon?
No, I've got another 30 minutes.
Okay,
so
good.
I'm at
Good.
45.
So as I pull up this other thing, Jeremy, tell us about the next events.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't even know about these events, so I'm glad we're talking about it. So let me pull up my calendar. I think it's next week, right? Yeah, next week. So next week, if you're in California, whether you're in the LA area or you're out in the Bay, we're coming back because people wanted us to come back. We were there a month ago, and a lot of feedback was that's more training in 4 hours than I've ever gotten from anybody here. Nobody comes out to California. Nobody trains us. And so we said, okay, we'll come out once a month. So we're coming back. So we'll be in LA. Are we doing LA first, Duane?
No, we're doing Bay Area first on the 20th. And then the 21st, we're going to be in LA.
Yep. We're going to do the Bay on the 20th and LA on the 21st. So if you're anywhere close to those two locations, comment below or shoot Duane or I or text, and we'll get you out the link. It'll be super fun. We've got, we'll have food. We've got a media company coming. We'll go through the 5 different things realtors need to change in their business in order to get more money in their account. So if you want to come to either of those 2 events, let us know.
And bring your questions, guys. We'd love to have you even bring some recordings like we're doing with Kurt. We can do live in-person role play. We can walk you through how to change your business immediately and how you can go make a lot of money. We've got a guy right now that lives in the area where we're holding this event in LA that is popping like crazy. And so make sure you show up ready to learn. Also, Jace, shout out to Jace up in the Bay Area. That's also where Rachel's at. These guys are killing it using our approaches. So it works in your market. Make sure you show up with questions and let's get you in here. Okay, guys, we're going to move on to the next one. Here we go.
Hi, I'm sorry to disturb your guard dogs. Hi. No worries. Hey, we're broker. Did you hear your neighbor that you don't buy? No, okay. I don't know if you guys know the shoemakers, but the house up just on the corner. Wanted to ask you guys if you're anyone who's looking for a place, any family, friends, coworkers.
At the moment, we are, but we want to get a bigger property.
Okay, property's what you're looking for.
Oh my goodness. We want to get a bigger property. Total lay down at the door. It's like, oh my gosh, knock on this door. And they're like, yeah, well, we don't know who wants to buy that one, but we want a bigger house. Oh, this is fabulous, Kirk. People dream about experiences like this. I'm excited to see where you take this.
Yeah, let's see.
Not really looking at all, or
Not really much.
okay. Oh, you guys been in this home?
We've been renting for us.
So why are you diving into how long they've been in that home if you know they're ready to look and they haven't been looking? What's their timeline? That's probably right where I would have went. So when do you think is going to be the best part for you to get into that new home?
Okay.
Why?
Because then it tells you where they're at mentally. Are they making that move next month, or is that like a 3-year thing?
Okay,
10-year thing?
Kurt, remember, you've got limited time to catch their interest on the doors. They could care less about telling you how long they've been in that house, why it doesn't work for them. You've got to capture their interest on why they need to move today and why it's the best thing for them to do. Okay. Because you're 38 seconds in right now. Remember, let me just ask you this. Do you feel like you have their interest?
Probably not.
I mean, you go back to that first 38 seconds. What questions have you asked that's caused them to engage with you today?
Well, I guess the reason I asked him about how long he had been in that one was because I guess to get more context about his situation.
Okay.
And he did kind of come out and say like, oh, we're renting. We've rented this for 7 years, which is huge to know, right? But then also, you may have noticed that I switched up the approach on that one a little bit because when I knocked the door, the dogs went crazy. Big burly construction guy came out, and so that's why I shifted. Like, hey, this neighbor just put theirs up to try and deflect a little bit. You know, I saw that he was a bull, so to speak, and I was like, okay, hey, help me with this. And so that's kind of why I did that. But you're saying I should have asked the timeline immediately?
Well, and Kurt, you have to gauge your client, but me looking at this, and I'm going to see where you take this.
Okay.
I personally would have went into immediate, especially if it's a bull personality.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
If it's a bull personality, they are straight, direct to the point. So that person, big burly guy, answers the door, looks a little gruff. It's just like, hey, when do you think you would make this happen? You already told me that you want to move. You need to upgrade. When are you ready to do this? And then I'm going to find out very quickly if you're my guy or if you're not. Okay, because he doesn't want to waste any time with you on fluff. Let's listen and see where you go.
Years. Okay. Have you owned in the past, or will this be the first time?
We've owned twice before.
Okay. Sweet. Do you know where you're looking? Just here in Hurricane, St. George, Cedar?
Kind of general area.
Just anywhere? Okay.
See, once again, now you're still even asking where you're looking. If they don't think now's the best time to buy, does that even matter?
Yeah, that was a bad question.
Okay. You've got to help them understand that right now is the best time to buy before you even care where they're looking.
What is it that you're looking for? You want more land, you said.
That's their property. That's part of the
Gotcha.
store. That's for the other trailer,
Okay.
garage space.
Yeah, I don't view your neighbors. They've got these big.
So once again, now we're over a minute in. If he wasn't looking already, there's something that's keeping him, right? He's not convinced that now is the best time to buy. We already know this. He doesn't even have a timeline, or at least we don't know about his timeline.
Well, I think I incorrectly assumed because he said we are looking for a place that he meant right now, but I didn't get him to admit that. And so that's where I think I kind of skipped over that, whereas I shouldn't have. I should have had him speak the words instead of me.
Cool. Cool. I like it.
Parking things right next to them.
It's the way this development is built. Either this house, that house, or you get the ones on the outskirts have the 3-car with the RV park on the side.
Yeah.
That's only the ones on the outskirts.
Okay. I was talking to one of your neighbors a few streets up, and he's thinking of putting his own. He's got a ton of space too. But any idea what price point you guys would be looking at?
I haven't even looked yet. That'd be considered.
Okay. The reason I ask is there's a lot of homes right now that are just kind of sitting on the market. So to help save buyers 50, 60 grand by buying sooner. Would you guys consider jumping on that and buying sooner if we could save you that kind of money?
We're honest enough, we're going to stay in the area too. So it's kind of been one of the holdups.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So now knowing that, Kurt, we just spent almost 2 minutes.
Yeah.
This person may not even stay in the area, right? We could have found that out immediately within the first 5 questions. Now, I'm going to pull up this comment, and Kurt, I'm going to have you take a stab at this. Why is now always the best time to buy?
Okay. I love it. Because it always goes up, right? well, there's a few different reasons, but the biggest one is that the prices are always going up, with the exception of like 1 year in the last 1,000 years, basically, almost. That's an exaggeration a little bit, but you get the point. It always goes up. So even more so when they say if they're in that 3 to 5 year range, or when they're buying. The second answer would be because there's no competition right now, or at least in my area. It's going to vary a little bit market by market, but right now the seller concessions are through the roof. We're able to save so much more as opposed to waiting when everybody else jumps in at the same time. Not only do those bidding wars jump your price up, but it sinks your concessions down.
So Jeremy, let's say you're in one of our buyer markets. California is a buyer's market right now, or a seller's market, excuse me. New Jersey's a seller's market. Why is it still now the best time to buy, even in a seller's market?
Yeah, because it's just going to keep getting harder and harder to buy, right? In a seller's market, prices are still going to keep going up. You're still going to have to compete, and appreciation is just going to keep going up. So why not buy now versus having to wait and prices keep going up? My neighbor will sell their house. It'll go for $100,000 over, and that'll establish a new price point for the area. And now the next home I go to buy in a couple months will now be $100,000 over versus what it was today. So it just always keeps getting more expensive.
And Cookie Face, I'd love to pull you on here because I'd ask you some questions. I'm assuming you're a real estate agent, but I would even ask you some questions. Are we creating more land? If we're not creating more land and it's being taken up, what are home prices going to do? What did home prices do last year at an 8% interest rate? How much did they increase? And I would just go through and I would question base sell you, Cookie Face, as I love the name, by the way, because I love cookies. Cookies are great. But by the way, you've got to think yourself as a real estate agent, what is the market going to do? Do we project it to go up? What's all the projections going to say? In 2025, what do all the projections say right now? Yeah, the prices are going to go up. So why wouldn't they take advantage? And let's just say the average home price across the U.S. is what, 400, 500 grand? 400. Let's just say 400 grand. If they went up by 3%, which is very low, I think they'll go up by way more than that. They're projecting 6. That's a $12,000 increase. Now, most people, average wage across the United States, if we're saying, 300 grand or 400 grand, those people are probably making 20 to 25 bucks an hour. If they got a 3% raise, how much money is that? 60 cents. Is that going to make the difference up in home values? This is why we've always got to buy sooner. Does that make sense? Hopefully that answered your question. All right, guys, let's keep going on this. Kurt, can you see how we're doing with this?
Yeah.
Can you see some of the things we've got to just tweak a little bit in order to get you where you need to be?
Mm-hmm.
Minor tweaks. Yeah. Minor tweaks.
It's like you got your share of trucks and trailers. What do you do?
Mobile repair.
Oh, okay.
So things along that line.
Okay. So now you're back to even just shooting the breeze with them. Oh, what do you do for work? And with a bold personality, you've really got to dial in where they're at and how you can close them.
Well, I was trying to call him out on him wanting to move to another area just to see how valid his argument was there. And so that's why I asked to see, because if you've got your own business here and you got your clientele, can you just pick up and leave that, or you just BSing me? So that's kind of why I asked. But yeah, I'm definitely not in a great spot.
Yeah, you're fighting backwards hard at this point, just because even if you try to call them out on moving to a new area, it's pretty difficult. It's pretty difficult. I'm getting a comment that's hard to hear the audio. Is anybody else struggling to hear the audio? Jeremy, are you hearing it okay? Kurt?
Yeah, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Fried waffle. Dude, these names are great. We got fried waffle and cookie face and all kinds of good stuff. Try turning up your audio and see if that'll make a difference. Kurt, let's see where you wrap this up, because right now you're fighting backwards like crazy.
So that's something you'd be able to kind of do anywhere. You lock down with it.
That's a mobile base, so
yeah, but pretty much anywhere, so it's easy to come by.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, but you guys want to move that timeline up and buy a place and save your time?
Yeah, honestly, no.
Okay. Do you know anyone who?
Okay. Whoa. Did you just hear that question, Kurt? If we could save you a ton, would you move the timeline up? The answer was no. What would have happened if you had asked that 3 questions in?
Would have saved a lot of time.
You're 100% right. That's not our client. We move on to the next door.
Okay.
Okay. Numbers are important, people. You've got to have your numbers, and you've got to take the time with the people that you can invest with that are going to move forward. If you know right off the bat that it doesn't matter what amount of money that they get saved by doing it sooner, then they're probably not your client. Let's do one more before we send it off to your closing. Holy cow, this one's 18 minutes. Did you close these ones, Kurt?
This guy, he rambled quite a bit, but I'm sure we'll find all my errors before we get to his rambling, so we'll hit it.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, I'm Kurt with Real Broker. Did any of you that you know I was coming by? It was who? Real? No, okay. No, we're talking to a lot of years.
What personality type are we dealing with? I can already tell.
Is it what was it, a tiger? Is that what they?
Jeremy, what would you say?
I didn't hear. I was answering everybody on Instagram. We got a ton of questions over on Instagram.
Cool. Fire away. Let's answer some of them.
Yes. I mean, these are off topic. So if you want to finish with Kirk on this feedback real quick, and then we'll hit.
Okay, then we do it after.
Yeah.
So the guy immediately says, "You're with who?"
Yeah.
Very blunt, very direct. You're with who? What personality type would you call that? I'm going to say either a bull or a tiger. That's probably not.
It's for sure one of the two. I felt maybe, well, yeah, one of those two for sure.
So you've got to do what with your pitch if you've got a bull or a tiger?
Get to the point.
Get to the point. You've got to move fast. You've got to gather their interest. You've got to capture them. If not, you're toast.
A lot of homes will just sit in. Yeah. Wanted to ask you if you consider buying, selling. Are you?
Totally cut you off. I'm moving.
Yep.
Right? And then he starts to say, as soon as interest rates come down.
Okay.
So without knowing anything of where you go, where would I go with a bull personality?
Where do rates need to be?
Okay. I'm even going to ask, how much do you think rates are going to drop? How much money does that save you? That's how fast I want to get into this. Because I'm moving soon as rates come down. But in reality, he probably doesn't understand that he's only losing about $500-600 a month at max.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as rates do come down, it's going to cost him 10 times more. Let's keep going.
Okay.
Sorry, that's a little bit hard to hear right now at this point. Kurt's bouncing the phone around in his pocket.
Sorry.
Okay, you're good. You're good. So he's saying he's gonna go back where it's cold, is what I'm hearing. But I need to come more to. What's that?
Yeah. He was wanting to move to Idaho.
Okay.
What he was telling me.
Oh, wow. So how long have you been in this home?
So now, why in the world do we go to how long we've been in this home? I'm seeing a pattern here, Kurt.
Yeah.
Where you're going in and finding out why they've been in their home. I don't know what you're digging for at that point, but you've got to shorten your pitch up. You've got to get faster to the point, and you've got to help them see why they need to do it sooner. Because the longer they spend time talking about why they've been in that home, the harder it is for them to want to spend more time with you diving into a sales process.
Okay.
Your time is limited, Kurt. This isn't, hey, I've got an hour with these guys on the door. You took 18 minutes on this one, 17 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
If I ever take that long on a door, and I can guarantee you Jeremy's the same, we're doing paperwork.
Well, I felt like I almost had this guy, so that's why I stayed as long as I did. But
okay, yeah. Let's keep going.
Okay. 2000. No, 25 years ago. No, I'm sorry. 2020. Okay, 5 years ago. I didn't think it was quite that.
So he bought 5 years ago.
Oh, that's okay. So
mm-hmm.
I'm just waiting for Mark.
He's essentially, for you guys that are having a hard time hearing, he's just saying, I'm waiting for the market. You know, there's a lot of people out there that are waiting for the market. So he's given some great feedback. Let's see where Kurt directs the comments.
the rate is kind of the biggest thing. Rate just went up.
Rates is the biggest thing. And he's like, yeah, rates just went up. Where do we go, Kurt?
Well, we still need to find out where he thinks those rates are going and how long it's going to take for them to go there. That's the first information I would try to
Okay.
find.
6.5 or 7, depending on the day. So we would kind of leave those rates to you or well, I mean, I don't know. 2.3 now. Okay. Doesn't need to be that low, but I mean, I haven't shaken up the math yet because it's just so high. It's worth fidgeting over. But
Okay, right there. He's saying some cool stuff. This is where we have to listen good. I'm at a 2.3 now. It's not even worth my time to calculate it because it's too high. Kurt, what do we need to talk about here?
Well, we need to show him how much it actually is, because he has in his mind that it's just this big gap, and we know that that gap's not nearly as big. But then I guess the struggle comes in how to get him interested in having that discussion.
Okay, so is it really rate, or is it
no,
is it
payment,
market? Okay,
right?
so where are you going to take this? Because right now, what he doesn't understand, he's waiting for rates to come down. Rates are going up.
Mm-hmm.
What are home prices going to do? And why does that matter, Kurt?
I think what you're getting at is you want him to see that the home's going to appreciate faster than whatever he's paying on that rate.
So whoever
Right.
this guy is, Matt, John,
Matt.
Steve, Matt, you're super smart. You said a minute ago that a lot of people are doing exactly what you were doing. What's going to happen to our market if rates shift down a little bit? Because that's what you're waiting to.
Okay.
That's what you're waiting on too. What's our market going to do?
See, now I always, because I do go there, but I like to get them to admit what that difference is first before I go there, because otherwise I feel like.
So rework it. Go backwards. Go backwards. You got the end in mind, right? He's saying that he doesn't even want to rework. He doesn't even want to work on the rates because they're too high. So powder his butt, dude. Just like, dude, you're spot on. You're just like all the other smart people out there that are hanging on, waiting for those rates to come down. But as soon as they drop, what are prices going to do?
Go up.
By how much do you think?
A lot.
Okay. Right now, if you were to go in and buy something, could you get a discount?
Yes.
Why?
Because no one's buying.
Just like you, everybody's sitting on the sideline, right? So how much could we negotiate right now if we're able to go in and buy a house today?
30,000-40,000.
Okay. That's a lot of money. Could you get closing costs?
Yeah.
How much? How much do you think closing costs would cost you?
10 to 15.
So really we're talking $45,000 to $50,000 difference right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, where would rates have to be in order for you to move?
4.5.
Okay. What is the difference between a 7% and a 4.5% rate on the home price that you want to buy? How much is that going to cost you more per month?
Probably about $500.
Okay. When do you think these rates are going to come back down?
Probably in the next 2 years.
Okay. So $500 a month for a year is $6,000. How much is that over 2 years?
12,000.
So now you can weigh this out. And we didn't even go into the details of what happens in 2 years. But as we weigh this out, $12,000 versus $50,000, which is a better deal? Would you want to save that $50,000?
Yeah.
It's a $38,000 difference that's going in your pocket. Now let's say, Kurt, 2 years from now, that same house, how much did it appreciate? Because we appreciated about 7% last year with an 8% interest rate. How much does that same house appreciate?
A lot. Probably 40 grand, 40, 50 a year.
Kurt, how much are you losing then? You got $40,000 to $50,000 a year. That's another $100,000. And also, if you break it down this way and say now that rates drop to 4.5%, how much do you pay over list price? Or can you still save that $30,000 to $40,000?
Say it again.
So let's say rates drop to 4.5% in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you have to pay for that same house? Are you getting it at list price? Or are you getting a
No.
40%, $40,000 discount?
No. Going up above.
How much are you paying over list price at that point with a 4% interest rate?
Probably 30 or 40,000.
I think you're spot on. So now we're looking at, a $40,000 savings, waiting 2 years, costing us $40,000 more. That's 80 grand. You add in appreciation. Good criminy, you're almost $200,000. Is it worth it to save $12,000?
No, it's not worth waiting.
So Emmanuel says, what if the seller argues that this house will sell at a discount using our argument? Okay, Emmanuel, if you're in an area that is always upgrading, what is the difference? If you're selling a $300,000 house and you're buying a $600,000 house, who wins? Are you still in a better position to upgrade? And that's why it's so essential, Emmanuel, that you are in upgrading areas. Dan said, I just had 7 offers on his listing over the weekend in California. They're already in a seller's market. You're getting 7 offers. Is it still a better opportunity for them to buy now? 1,000%. Because if they're getting 7 offers right now and the economy stables out and rates go down, holy cow, they're going to get 30 or 40 offers on that same house next, right? As the market stables, as things start getting better. So guys, this is exactly what we're talking about. Kurt, you're a minute and a half in. You got to really capture their interest super fast. Let's see where you take it.
Somebody figures somewhere, 4 or 5%. I mean, people understand in the 70s, interest rates so higher, like 16, 17. But your house only cost $40,000. My first house was 2-story and cost me $40,000. I can't even get a used truck for $40,000. I know, probably only cost them $20 in a bag of walnuts or something back then. But probably changed. I mean, yeah, price for it right now, we got to wait to see how everything shakes out. But yeah, I mean, so you think those rates are going to start coming down now? The way you feeling? Well, I mean,
See, we're still not even to the point where we're diving deep into details, right? We're still feeling things out, which is good. We're getting started there. But we've got to move quicker with a bull or tiger personality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody hopes. If he gets it done as fast as he's doing the rest of the shit, shouldn't be too long. Man is on a mission. He's on a mission. Yeah. He's taking no prisoners. He's going all out. Like, he didn't know shit the first term. Now he's warmed up. Now he knows what. But anyway, yeah, I mean,
So we're already right there. He's talking about Trump. He's talking about how fast he's diving in, how fast he's changing things. He's giving you tons of opportunity right there.
You should have spun it back on him. Yeah.
You could have spun that right back on him and said, hey, so if he's doing all these things, what do you think that's going to do to our economy?
Yeah.
And if our economy gets better, what happens to home prices? Use the ammo they give you, you guys. Use that to help you to have a better situation. So, guys, this is all good stuff. We're not going to go too much deeper into this just because of time. Kurt's got to go to a closing. Well done, Kurt. But this is exactly why we do this, is we have to make sure we're growing and learning and getting better each and every door we talk to. And that's why recording is so important. So well done, Kurt. Appreciate you being on. Kurt, we're going to dive into a bunch of questions, let you get to your closing, but thank you. And we'll catch up soon.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right, Jeremy, let's dive into some of those questions that people are asking. We've got some other questions from like Chad. He just sent us a question just asking to break down the math. He just ordered a book. Well done. That'll help. We go through some of those numbers in the book and spell it out, but the math is pretty simple. And Chad, if you want to, let me throw the invite key in. I can have you do the math while you're online with us, or anybody else that wants to jump on. Let's hit the questions you've got, Jeremy, from Instagram.
Cool. Yeah. So Joel, I think he's not on here anymore, but he had a couple questions. So he's asking, hey, Duane, where do you find all these personality type descriptions? How do you study this? Books? Like, where did you learn this? What suggestions do you have for them?
Cool. I mean, personally, Jeremy and I've done door to door for 17 years. We have had to learn the personality types, and some people use different figures to describe them. The ones I've always learned is going to be the bull, the owl, the lamb, and the tiger. Okay. Your bull personality is going to be very D type of personality, very direct, very blunt, very straightforward. The tiger personality is going to be, oh, dude, check out my stuff. I've got all this glam and glitter, and he wants to look good for all the neighbors, and is very loud, is very, full of himself. The lamb personality, that's going to be your chatty Cathy. They're going to want to talk your face off. They're going to want to spend a ton of time with you on the door, and you're going to have to be quick at shutting them down. But they're going to give you lots of opportunity to close them, and a lot of detail about the neighborhood. And then you've also got the owl personality type, which is going to be your accountant, your architect, your people that are very skeptical. They're data driven. They want stats. They want graphs. They want statistics. They're not quick to make a decision. So all of these different personality types, you should be able to identify them before you even get to the door. Jeremy, a couple of the comments you've made, I want you to make them again, just because Jeremy even looks for where people park their car. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, different personalities are going to drive different cars. The decision maker is going to park closest to the door. So if there's an empty spot and then a car, I'm not going to knock that door. I know the decision maker is not there. So your first interaction, you want to make sure both people are home. You don't have to come back for any appointments. And so you're going to wait a little bit. The more you do this, the better you're going to get at personality types, Joel. And even when you're walking up to the door, you're going to look for military tags, license plates, stickers on the car, how they do their front yard, the different type of decorations they have on their porch. Every personality is going to have a different language they like to be spoken to. And so just watch out for that stuff. We just went over this. If you're in the Explode coaching program, it's $1,250 a month. We do 2 sales skills training calls a week. And this morning we went over personality types. We spent a whole hour on this. But books I would recommend are these right here. So go get Speed of Trust, Code of Trust, both really good books on how to get trust really quick. The 7 Frequencies of Communication by Erwin McManus. We all communicate on a certain frequency, but people also like to be sold on a certain frequency. So you have to match those two. And then the other one, I finished this last month, Surrounded by Idiots, the 4 types of human behavior, how to effectively communicate with each. So you can go read. There's lots of books on personality types, communication types, preferences. Even the 5 Love Languages is a great, obviously, relationship book, but just picking apart how people like to be spoken to, and then you adapt and give them what they want. That'll help you a ton. So hopefully that helps you, Joel. Let's go through his other questions. So he's asking, hey, I'm getting my first listing. And what was your question, Joel? He's asking, let me see if I can find it. How do I present myself, Duane, in terms of marketing? I'm looking for my first listing. Am I going to get a lot of questions challenging me on my experience compared to other realtors? And how do I hold myself when talking to new customers?
Joel, that's a fabulous question. That is fabulous. Most people don't ask that question. In reality, it's going to be different for every client. And that's why, you guys, this is so important to get in with a good group that can coach you, because there's not a one-size-fits-all script here that I'm going to tell you to go in and do every time. What I'm going to tell you to do is listen, just like what Jeremy said, 5 love languages. You need to speak to them in their love language. So the first thing I'm going to do is ask them, what is the most important thing to them in the sale of their house? And then I'm going to listen to everything they tell me. Joel, it shouldn't even matter how many homes you sell, as long as you fill that love tank of what they're looking for in a real estate agent. and you help them achieve everything that they're looking for in the sale of their house. If you can do that and do it confidently, it's game over. They're never going to ask you how many homes you've sold.
Yep.
They're only going to see your credibility, your confidence, and what your skill set is. And you're going to portray that through your confidence by listening to what they want and fulfilling every one of those buckets. So that's a great question, but it's going to change on every one of them. And we role play, guys. That's why this role play is so important. We can change our needs up every different conversation. That way you meet with 12 sellers, you come up with 12 solutions to help them understand how they need to buy, how they need to sell. And you make it tailored to each person.
Yep.
That's why role play is so important.
Yeah. And guys, if Joel, for anyone that wants like a breakdown of how the different personalities look and how to speak to them and how to identify them, we have a free, it's like a 1-page PDF on this. Just comment personality or shoot one of us a DM or text, and we'll get that to you for free. When you really dive into personalities, you're going to look all the time for personalities. You're going to say, hey, did any of the neighbors tell you who's coming by, and how they respond? Well, what neighbors? Just like Duane and Kirk were responding, that's going to be your driver personality. So you need to use language like, look, I can tell your time is valuable. Let me get right to the point. Let me cut the fluff. Let me save you some time. Let me get right down to it. If someone's like, oh, well, what neighbors? Who was it? Kathy? Who was it? And I'm going to smile and change my body language. And so every question you're asking on the door, going into a listing presentation, a buyer consult, when you're representing a buyer and you're calling a listing agent, you're constantly looking for what's their communication level, what's their love language, and how do I adapt to that? So hopefully that was super helpful for you, Joel. Yeah, Joel, shoot me a text or DM and I'll get that to you. Okay, any other questions, Joel? I think you're one of the only ones that are on. Someone had read, I think it was Caitlin, had read the Surrounded by Idiots. It's a really good book. It just talks about how to communicate to people. Okay, Joel had a couple other questions. How do you organize your day, Duane, so you can do other things besides prospecting?
Everybody needs to shoot me a text right now, 801-243-4544. We will send you out a book on schedule. And it's a multiple page PDF where you can go build your schedule. But I'm going to tell you right now, if it's Joel asking this question, you're a genius because you have to build a schedule that you do every day. This should be systematic. I remember a huge Jazz fan. Yes, they suck, guys. So it's okay. You can rip on me.
Hey, they beat the Warriors the other day.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. But needless to say, we have some pretty good seats. And so we're able to talk with the players quite often. My son asked Colin Sexton how he was draining all the threes because he hit 27 in a row in warmups. And so we holler at him. He walks over and my son asked him, he's like, how do you do it? And he's like, I take the same shot over and over and over and over again to where it is so easy for me. It's routine. Doesn't matter if someone's in my face. I do it all the time. If you can get your schedules down to where you do it over and over and over again, it's going to become easy to you to perform at a way higher level. You're also going to know your pitch because you've done it over and over. You've seen it. You've had someone say, I want to wait on interest rates. You've had someone say, I want to use my sister. She's a real estate agent. You've had someone say the market sucks. You've had a renter say, oh, I just rent here. And it becomes routine to you. So it's like, I got this. I know how to answer it. I know how to respond. So I would tell you to build the same schedule and keep it the same. Get up. For me, it's get up. I read my scriptures every morning, have quiet time, right? I'm going to dedicate to God first. Then I get upstairs and it's routine. I read scriptures as a family. I make my kids lunch and I spend time with the family. I go down and work out after that. And then by 10 o'clock, I'm up in my office and I'm doing same thing over and over again. Okay. If you're prospecting, it was different when I was prospecting. Guess what? I was at work by 8 a.m. and I was putting in 12 to 14 hour days until I had 10 under contract. What did it look like? At 8 a.m., I wasn't knocking doors. I was doing social media. I was pounding through people all over Messenger, and DMing people and chatting about investors and sending out investor portfolios and doing stuff like that. By noon, I was on the doors, and I would knock every day until I had such a pipeline and so many under contract that I didn't need to do it anymore. You have to create consistency. So text me that, and I will send you over our schedule. Jeremy, why don't you give people your schedule now versus your schedule 3 years ago?
Yeah. And also too, we have a packet on this called business efficiency. So if you guys want to text us, it's called business efficiency. Duane, you can even go find it. Maybe we'll bring it up for a second. Duane and I have YouTube videos on this. We have packets on this. We can easily train you for completely free. We also have courses, and we talked about this in the coaching program, because a lot of us are running our business, but it's as if we were driving a car that had a brake on, right? So there are things that are slowing you down that you could go faster. You just have to know how to organize it. So text that information over to us, and we'll get it to you. My schedule right now is pretty much the same, but the prospecting is different. So I'm up in the morning. My morning routine is from 4:15 to about 7:30 or 8. That's what I'm doing my Savers program. For those that have read the book Miracle Morning, he talks about there's a program. It's called Savers, SAVERS, that you follow every morning. Gets you in the right headspace, takes care of your body and your mind, allows you to be focused. You know what you're going to do. And then I take coaching call all morning, training for all of our programs. And then honestly, I've got 2 to 4 hours in the afternoon to respond to all of you guys. So all of you guys that comment on all of our stuff, that shoot us a DM, that reach out via text, I've got a massive time block that is set aside for you guys to reach out. Then I'm with family, and then at night is when I create. So anytime that you guys need packets or trainings, or you're like, hey, I've looked everywhere and no one trains on this, can you provide something? At nighttime now is usually when I create all that. And then it's repeat over and over and over again. The schedule doesn't really change, like Duane was mentioning. And the better you can get at that, the more realistic your growth is, because you have something that you're following. So comment below and we'll get that packet to you guys.
Yeah, shoot me a text, guys. I threw my phone number in all the chats. So you should see 801-243-4544. Best way for me to be able to just shoot that over to you. Make sure you reach out to us. That's the only way you're going to get better, is by learning growth, and we're here to teach you. Other questions, guys? We've only got about 5 more minutes, and we're going to sign off. What other questions do you guys have?
Yeah, we've got quite a few on Instagram. Let me go grab a couple. And if you see it on YouTube, let us know, guys. We're definitely here to help you. If you've got any questions on your business, no one's helping you at your brokerage, you're not getting any type of training from your mentors or leads, this is why Duane and I do this, so we can hop on and answer any questions that you have. Let me go see if I can find a couple that we had before. Oh, here we go. He said, hey, Duane, how many hours do you knock daily? Jeremy, you the same question. How do you structure your day to allow other prospecting methods besides door knocking? So for that question, what's up, Cole? Cole just jumped on in our coaching program. Oh, Joel just had one. What doors are you knocking? How are you choosing your leads? So for me, I'll answer this, and then Duane can answer his. So it's called spot knocking, Joel. So you're not going to go door to door to door to door, because one, it's ineffective, right? Slowing you down. And then two, every day when you go to prospect, you have an emotional tank. It's called willpower. The more you pull out of that to do the right thing, the harder the right thing gets to do. And so you have to protect that. So it's called spot knocking. So when you're walking down the middle of the street, you're looking for, they're called signs of life. It's guaranteeing that if I go knock that door, they're home. So that's going to be 2 cars in the driveway. It's going to be a garage open. It's going to be the doors open. I can hear kids playing. It's very obvious they're home. I'm going to go knock that door. And what's cool is I can go talk or knock 20 doors, Joel, and I'll get 20 people to respond, versus cold calling for 600, making 600 dials. I only talk to 20 people. So it allows you to be more efficient and get in front of the right people. So for me, that's how I'm choosing my leads. That's how I'm knocking throughout the neighborhood. I'm going to go up a street. I'm going to turn around and go right back down, because every street changes every 30 minutes. And so the house that had 1 car now has 2. The house that had no cars now has 1. Now the garage is open. And I'm aware of that because I'm tracking it. And then I can turn right around and go have more contacts and make more progress to get better leads. Duane, what's your process?
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to answer just the question because I think you did a great job on that. How many hours do you need to go? You should be knocking until you have your pipeline full. And initially mine was 10 under contract. I needed 10 under contract at all times. I did that for the first probably 8 months to a year. And then it went to 20 under contract at all times. So if you can just go door to door prospect until you have 10 under contract, start at noon every day and go till 8, 9 o'clock at night. And do it consistency. You will not hurt for work. Okay. And you'll have plenty of business.
I also think too often we get too distracted on, oh, if I do it for 4 hours, I'm going to get this many leads. And if I get that many leads, I'm going to get this appointment. If I get that, like, you need to track your numbers. That's obviously super important, but also just go until you have, like Duane said, enough business. And if you don't have any deals, you keep going and you keep going and you extend your hours. You do more hours. And then obviously you're going to get better. You're going to track your numbers and convert more people. But like Duane said, just be a hunter. Take some pride. Go in a neighborhood and knock until you figure that out. Other question.
Asked a question. He said, how do you log contacts doing door-to-door for follow-up? So we're building an app right now. It's going to solve that. We're hoping to have it out in June, but it will track everything for you, do all the follow-up systems, handwritten letters, all of that. So Emmanuel, watch for that. He says, I know you don't bring nothing at the door. Is it okay to bring a clipboard to take notes? I'm going to tell you no. Don't pack something like that. I'm going to tell you and the reason I don't say that is because if you will just show up and take the notes right from your phone, the minute people look through their door and see you with a clipboard, they're going to think salesperson. They're going to think, why is this person at my door? They're not going to answer. Jeremy uses an iPad and does a fabulous job with that. So you got to figure out what works best for you. Me personally, I didn't take anything. Magnets in my back pocket was about the only thing I took, but I did not take anything to make them think that I'm a salesperson. I wanted them to open the door wondering, why are they here? What are they doing? Right? Next question we have is, what are the best tips for getting solid or listings sold? Jeremy, take that one away.
Yeah. And we've got a couple other questions on Instagram too. So if you guys have a listing that is sold, the number one thing that'll sell that house is to price it right. So you've got to have good conversations with your sellers about why they don't want to price it right. What is the end goal when they sell their home? Are they okay that it sits for a while? Do they want to get the most amount of money in their pocket? What strategies are going to do that? So pricing will always be number one. Number two is I would go knock the neighborhood. Neighbors usually have the same friend groups. They make the same amount of money. They have the same circles. If they relocated from another area, they probably know someone that might want to relocate and check out that house too. So go aggressively knock that neighborhood to get referrals. Also think, who's going to buy this home? Let's say it's a single family home. I would go knock the townhome communities and say, hey, I've got a great listing that's a single family home. Let me help you transition and upsize into that. Have you thought about that? So I would go and like transition those people over. So aggressively go door knock. Also, get on social media. You can get in front of 20,000 people in one day by one reel that's attractive, and you put a little bit of ad spend behind it. You can get in front of 20,000 local people and put your listing in front of them. So get on social media. Those are probably my three best pieces of advice. Also, do an open house once a week. Do it in the middle of the week, middle of the day, at night, on the weekends. You just have to be aggressive. Go find that buyer. Don't just throw up a sign and wait for other agents to do it, because most of them aren't working. They're not going to find you a buyer.
It's awesome advice. Everybody, guys, it's been so cool to see you guys come here with questions. I love it. So because we've had so many questions, we've got to wrap up right now. We've got 1 minute, but I want everyone to come next week with a list of questions. Let's do a Q&A, and let's take the whole hour going through what you're struggling with, how to make you better, what you need to do to build your business faster. But show up 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time next week with a pile of questions. We'll bring you on live if you're able to do that, and we will help you grow your business. So guys, super excited to help you guys grow. Make sure you're here next week, 11 o'clock. Thanks for being on today, you guys. We'll see you.